Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia. Thank you for joining me on a Friday night. I'm also joined by my mom if you want to come and say hello. Everyone say hello to Leslie.
Hi, how are you, homies?
Nicely done.
Nicely done. I just want to say that I read all your comments and make sure that you're nice to my baby because I'm reading you and I'm watching you.
You heard? Be nice to me. My mom's in the chat. All right. Thank you for watching. Nice to start off Nightly Scroll on a Friday with my mom and also on time. If you haven't noticed, we have started on time, right on time, 5 days in a row. So I think we could do it next week too. You don't hate the media enough. CNN's botched pipe bomber report, CBS, they've conveniently omitted some facts in a report on a U.S. citizen being detained by ICE. Yeah, we're going to get into all the details. Also, if you're in the business of finding out the truth, you should try it sometime. That's my message to the mainstream media. We have an unfortunate update on the Minnesota Somali fraud scheme. It turns out the damage could be way more than $1 billion stolen, and squad member Ilhan Omar may have paved the way for it all to take place. President Trump puts the Christ in Christmas at the National Christmas Tree Lighting Ceremony last night. We're going to play you a clip of that, and then also a clip of what could have been. Also, liberals are getting triggered by Pantone's Color of the Year, and Scott Bryson is here for tactical detail on a Friday. First time we've had him on a Friday. So if you were missing him last night, don't worry, he is here. All right, so I told you earlier in the week that President Biden was going to be speaking tonight, and we do have the privilege of showing you a video of that speech. He is receiving the Chris Abeel Impact Award at the LGBTQ plus Victory Institute's Leaders Conference in Washington, D.C. tonight, and he is delivering a rare speech in his retirement. And here is just a little clip of that. It went very well. Watch.
We just have to get up. As long as we keep the faith, summon hope, and get back up and remember who in the hell we are. We're the United States of America. That's who we are. We're the U.S. And there's nothing.
We're the what? We're the what? The United... He even said United States weird too, but United States of America. Who knew? Who knew? I kind of, after seeing this video, I miss him a little bit. I miss these speeches. I miss these moments. The left tries to say that Trump is, falling asleep at the wheel and he's falling asleep in meetings and, they hate the way that he snaps at reporters, but at least he has the mental capacity to snap at reporters. I would take Trump over Biden any day, but I do miss these gaffes. We used to have them all the time. And now, he's in Delaware. He's on the beach. He's in retirement. He's getting ice cream in Delaware. Wherever he's at, we don't get to see these moments too often anymore. So I just thought that I would share that with you, my homies in the United States of America. All right, we don't hate the media enough. CNN, they claim to be the facts first network, but they're not so good at waiting for all the details to come out before they start filling in the blanks themselves to fit whatever narrative it is that they're trying to push. And when it comes to bombing suspects, shooting suspects, and other criminals, they're very quick to claim that they are white. You may remember how CNN's Aaron Burnett covered the shooting suspect in New York City. He was the one who had... CTE, and he came to the NFL headquarters, their building in New York City, with a gun, and he took lives of people in that building. And Aaron Burnett, this is how she covered it back then. Watch.
Among them that they did get, they do know what he looks like. Sunglasses, mustache, male, possibly white. And
possibly white. Well, I guess that's not wrong because it's always possible that the suspects are white, but in that case, he was blacker than midnight. So anyway, possibly white, but was not. Now, this brings us to yesterday, where the FBI, they have got the January 6th pipe bomber suspect in custody. And this is how Jake Tapper, also on CNN, covered that. Watch.
Ryan Cole Jr., A 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction.
Why even say the color of the skin? You know, CNN, they're very quick to do it. Well, it's a white guy, it's a white man, it's a white this, he's a white man. Why say that? And when Jake Tapper started his show yesterday, that was around the same time that CNN was one of the first outlets to publish the photo of the pipe bomber suspect. So in the same building, on the same network, they knew that he was black, but Jake Tapper went out there and said that he was white. Now, did he mean to do this? Was this just his own personal whatever? Or was he reading a script that producers wrote and it was a mistake? I don't know. Have we heard if there was a retraction? At the start of this show, we hadn't heard whether or not he said anything on his show. His show starts at what, 5 p.m. Eastern time? Nothing. Or we haven't heard.
It was at 5. No, nothing came
All right,
through.
well, if you guys see anything on X, CNN apologizing for that, let me know and we'll keep you guys posted. But just classic CNN stuff, possibly white or totally white when in reality they're not white at all. So there's CNN, the Facts First Network. Awesome. Now here's CBS's their botching of this immigration story. So if we could just pull this up, this is what they wrote on X. A U.S. citizen was forcibly removed. You could scroll down to the CBS. Yeah. A U.S. citizen was forcibly removed from her car by federal agents in Key Largo, Florida on Wednesday after she refused to present her driver's license and rolled down her window when stopped, U.S. Customs and Border Protection said. She was placed in a patrol car while agents searched her car, located her driver's license, and confirmed she was a U.S. citizen. She was then released. And that's the video of this traffic stop that happened. Now, they first of all, based on this story, CBS, she refused to comply. She refused to show her license to police. Again, why? If you just comply with what police are saying, none of these things, she wouldn't have had to be pulled out of the car. But it got to that point because she wasn't doing what the police were telling her. And again, what is the issue? If you're an American citizen and you have your license on you, why are you not complying? If police, and again, it wasn't just the license that she wasn't complying with. They were telling her to roll down your window. She wasn't doing that either. Okay, well, guess what? You're going to get ripped the F out of your car by law enforcement because you are now obstructing. You are now not complying. That's what happens. Okay. So then if we could pull that back up, now we get the real story, right? So Tricia McLaughlin, she says this, sets the record straight. During a traffic stop, a U.S. citizen who was driving her illegal alien boyfriend's car, who had been arrested prior, refused to comply with law enforcement's repeated lawful orders to identify herself. She was removed from the vehicle and briefly held while her identity was confirmed. This is consequences 101 of not complying with lawful orders. Again, all of this could have been prevented if this woman just listened to the cops. And again, like CBS, they're making something out of nothing because they're saying, oh, well, this U.S. citizen was detained by ICE. Well, why is that? Well, because she's dating an illegal alien, she's driving his car, and there was a warrant out for his arrest. So that's why she's being targeted. It's just totally insane. Also insane is this Somali fraud story out of Minnesota. It's gotten out of hand. I told you yesterday that the story has gotten worse because Democrats are now defending this fraudulent behavior. Well, it's even worse than that because Garrett Tenney on Fox News reported earlier today that the $1 billion in fraud is actually looking like it's going to be a lot more than that. Just to fill you in, there was a Somali immigrant fraud scheme run during the COVID-19 pandemic where they were stealing taxpayer dollars that were supposed to go to feed children during the pandemic, but they were lining their pockets with them instead. And now Fox News said earlier that it's looking like it could be even $8 billion. Great. Because $1 billion was really bad. $8 billion, that's a lot of stolen moolah. And if you were wondering if the Democrats that allowed all this to happen are concerned with the fraud, they're not. They're covering for it and potentially even involved. In the case of Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, turns out she has promoted a restaurant in the past called Safari. They were, supposedly helping families in need get food. This is her promoting them on TV. Watch this. Says 2,300 families. This is very important. A lot of young kids live in hunger in this country. Their families don't have a way of feeding them. It's good for them to be able to get lunch, especially in the month of Ramadan. A lot of families don't have jobs. They don't have another source of income. Now they don't have to worry about feeding their kids. So she's thanking this restaurant, Safari. Okay, so that's sitting Congresswoman Ilhan Omar basically stumping for this Safari restaurant. Well, it turns out that restaurant took advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic to carry out a massive fraud scheme. Yeah, $250 million. And the people who run this restaurant, they falsely claim to have served 91 million meals for the community. They did not. They stole $250 million in federal funds. It did not go to feed 91 million families and meals. It was used to line their own pockets. So those restaurant owners were indicted back in March. And Ilhan Omar didn't just promote their restaurant in that one video. Her campaign victory party was held there, and she introduced the legislation that made that COVID scheme possible. These funds that were supposed to be for children. So is she directly connected to the fraud? Not necessarily, based on what we know now. It's not clear that she knew what was happening. But again, the excuse that she made for all of this is that the pandemic was just chaotic. Things were happening so fast. Nobody had time to figure out any guardrails. So oopsie daisy, don't blame the Somalis. But now the Somali community has gotten, a little bit of a bad reputation. Their names are in the news, making headlines this week. President Trump talking about them. And, not all Somalians are stealing billions of taxpayer dollars, but the ones involved in this specific scheme were Somalian. So that's why people are talking about them, right? And in order to stand in solidarity with the Somali community, the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, he broke bread or whatever this is at a Somalian restaurant for a photo op last night. Watch this. He just, he's making the A-OK symbol, but I don't think he's A-OK. He's choking it down. He's playing with the food. I mean, it looks like the food is disgusting, and his face is showing that. I mean, play it again. He's like, This is like when you give a toddler peas, and you're like, finish all your peas, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's good. And he's like moving the food around the plate, not swallowing. I haven't seen him swallow anything, but look at that face of despair. That's the face of someone who's trying to choke down Somalian food, just like my mom used to make. just like Nana used to make. Yeah. Just a photo op. Anything for a photo op. But this isn't just happening in Minnesota. Maine State Representative Dika Dalak, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. She is also a Somali immigrant. She served as the mayor of South Portland, Maine, back in 2022. She was the first African-born female mayor in the United States, which that's something that Democrats care about. Her priority, though, is not the United States. Her priority is how the United States can help Somalia. Listen to this.
Policies, how can the politics in Somalia can be, resonate what we have here in the United States, the democracy that we have. How can you help us, be a better country and build back what we used to have back in long time ago? So hopefully we will be able to help our country, our former country, Somalia.
Huh? Did you hear that? She said the quiet part out loud at the end, our country. Then she said, oops, she caught herself, our former country. These are people in the United States. They claim to be public servants of the United States. They're supposed to be serving the interests of their American constituents, and yet their focus is their country of origin and how the United States and United States taxpayers can send them more money and help their government. And why is that, why should that be their priority? Making Somalia look like the United States of America. Meanwhile, the United States is looking more like Somalia. And this is why the America First movement was born. And in America, especially under the Trump administration, we are celebrating Christmas proudly. Here is the president last night at the National Christmas Tree Lighting in D.C. Listen to this.
During this holy season, Christians everywhere rejoice at the miracle in Bethlehem more than 2,000 years ago when the Son of God, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, came down from heaven to be with us. You're right. Full of grace and truth, he brought the gift of God's love into the world and the promise of salvation for every person and every nation. And we just settled another war today. You saw that with Rwanda and the Congo. It's been going on for 34 years. Millions of people killed. Could be 20 million. They don't know what the number is, and we just settled it today. That was a big one. We're very happy to announce it on this important day. Tonight, this beautiful evergreen tree glows bright on the dark and cold winter night and reminds us of the words of Gospel of John, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. Beautiful words. With the birth of Jesus, human history turned from night to day. His word and his example call us to love one another, to serve one another, and to honor the sacred truth that every child is specially made in the image of God.
We are so back. We are so back. It's nice to have a president of the United States that says Christ is king and talks about the Bible and messages from the Bible on Christmas and for Christmas. That's what Christmas is all about. But here's a reminder of what could have been if America elected Kamala Harris.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? That's what we could have had. But instead, we have President Trump reading Bible quotes. Absolutely love it. But that's really how the left feels, that nobody can have a Merry Christmas unless everyone is merry. And that can't happen, in their view, if people are being deported. And some woke churches are buying into that narrative. The Christmas season is obviously supposed to be a celebration of Jesus' birth, but Lake Street Church of Evanston, Illinois, they are playing politics instead. They have zip-tied their baby Jesus in their nativity scene outside the church. This is what, if you could see these pictures here. Baby Jesus' hands are zip-tied. He's in like emergency aluminum blanket, and they've got ICE agents outside around it. Here's what the church said. This installation reimagines the nativity as a scene of forced family separation, which is just not biblical, but okay. Drawing direct parallels between the Holy Family's refugee experience and contemporary immigration detention practices. By placing the Christmas story, Christianity's central narrative of refuge, sanctuary, and sacred family, within the visual language of immigration enforcement and detention, this work asks viewers to confront the disconnect between professed religious and moral values and immigration policies. The emergency blanket references the actual materials used in detention facilities. The zip ties on the infant's wrists directly reference the children who were zip tied by agents during a raid on a Chicago apartment building earlier this year, where most residents were U.S. citizens. A stark reminder, keyword most, a stark reminder that enforcement terror does not discriminate by documentation status. Also, not true. They are not targeting people who are American citizens. Like the story that we just covered by CBS earlier, where, you know, they just left out the part where she was driving the car of an illegal alien that was a criminal. Okay. They went on to say this. Mary and Joseph apparently are wearing gas masks in this nativity scene. They said the gas masks worn by Mary and Joseph reference the documented use of tear gas and other chemical weapons deployed by ICE agents against peaceful protesters, journalists, and community members advocating for immigration reform and bearing witness to human rights abuses within the system. They went on to say that this isn't political. They're not trying to get political at all. Okay. Another church in Massachusetts. They have been known to make political statements in their nativity scenes during the Christmas season. And this reverend at this church, they have done nativity scenes that talk about climate change, gun control, and now they are also using the immigration narrative in their nativity scene this year. So ICE was here, is in the nativity scene, and you will notice that there's no baby Jesus in the nativity scene. And the sign underneath says, the Holy Family is safe in our church. If you see ICE, please call whoever at this number. And this is at St. Susanna Parish in Massachusetts. This is not church. This is activism. The only agenda that the church should push is that of Jesus Christ. That is it, especially during the Christmas season. This is about the birth of our Savior. It should not be about political statements, ones that are factually inaccurate and irresponsible fear-mongering. Yes, of course, as Christians, we are called to love and respect others, but we are also taught that you'll be punished for wrongdoing. That's also a big part of it. There are consequences for committing crimes. That doesn't mean that we aren't empathetic and we don't show compassion. We do. But the rule of law doesn't just go out the window either. I feel badly for people who go to these churches and they are being led so far astray. This is not church. I pray that they find a real one that doesn't push this nonsense. And it is nonsense. Here's more nonsense. Apparently there's a new sexuality called berisexual. And that is, yeah, it's just ridiculous. So I looked into it so that you don't have to. And of course, they have a new flag. Berisexual explained, the internet's new micro-label that might describe you. It has gained traction on platforms like Reddit, TikTok, and Urban Dictionary. So that's how you know it's real. Anyway, apparently this new sexuality was coined in November of 2023. And berisexual describes a primary attraction to feminine-aligned and androgynous genders, with an only occasional or minor interest in masculine-aligned genders or men. So essentially, this is bisexuality, but they like women more than men. Why there needs to be another label for it beats me. It gets worse. It really does get worse. So it says counterparts include almond sexual and terms like leaf sexual and petal sexual. No, these are not people who are sexually attracted to almonds, leaves, and petals. That was my first thought when I read this. No. And I looked into it again so that you didn't have to. Almond sexual, people who are almond sexual experience a slight or rare attraction to women. Leaf sexual is a person primarily attracted to neutral aligned genders with a less common or slight attraction to men or masculine aligned genders. Petal sexual, they experience a slight or rare attraction to women or feminine aligned genders. So I'm failing to see a difference between almond sexual and petal sexual. Those are basically the same. And all of these are bisexual people who want more attention. They want their own special flag. You know, they say that sexuality is gender fluid. It's a spectrum. So they just come up with infinite notches on the spectrum. Different groups they can belong to. They're all equally absurd, in my opinion. They're making shit up at this point. I don't know how these people can actually expect to be taken seriously. Like, hey, I'm berisexual. I'd be like, what is that?
Someone in the chat said he's very sexual.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Do you think like the community gets like mad at each other and they just have like a split, and so they
Yeah.
like that's what it is? All of this stuff is just like factions that
Yeah.
happen, and
They just splinter off because being bisexual is like old news now, because now there's like so many different terms. So then they're like, well, we have to make, a new thing. We have to make a new thing up. I think this is all just like a social experiment to see who goes along with it and who doesn't. And then when you don't go along with it, liberals can just like say that you're homophobic. That's really all that this is. All right, I have two more crazy stories before we get to Scott Bryson. So hang on tight for that. But apparently you can put your cat on Ozempic in like 2028. So here's the headline: weight loss drugs for cats. Company launches clinical trial of GLP-1 implants in cats. So the company is called Acava Pharmaceuticals. They're based in San Francisco. And this isn't going to be like an injection like you use for human beings. This is going to be an implant. And they're calling this study Meow 1 instead of GLP-1. So Meow 1. And apparently they're going to put this implant, this GLP-1 implant, in cats for about 3 months. But then they're going to look at these cats for about 6 months to see how it all happens. I don't really like the idea of testing Ozempic on cats. I'm just going to be honest. I think this is totally
that's
unnecessary.
what we're saying in here. Is like I thought we axed animal testing. I mean,
Yeah.
we used to send like monkeys to space, and that was frowned upon.
Right.
Like,
And
why
a lot
are
of the
why are we sticking this in a cat?
A lot of the dog trials that Fauci did, like people are anti that. Anyway, this is the first ever trial of its kind. They're going to study up to 50 cats, and they're hoping that this is going to get approved by the FDA by 2027. And this is the kicker for me. It would cost cat owners out of pocket $100 per month to put their freaking cat on Ozempic. Imagine paying $100 a month in this economy for something completely unnecessary.
That's not enough. That number needs to be way higher.
This is like natural selection.
I want a
make it-
cat Ozempic tax.
Yeah.
The minute that my cat is on fat meds for $100 a month is the minute that I get a dog.
And the cat isn't the problem. The cat is not the problem. It is the cat parent. It is the owner. That's what pisses me off about obese pets and obese children. They don't just get that way. It's the parents who are responsible for overfeeding them. It's abuse, in my opinion. Cats just don't get fat by accident. They don't feed themselves. Adult humans are responsible for setting the amounts of food that they eat, how much exercise they get, how many treats they get, if they're being fed, human food under the table, things like that. So if your pet is obese, that is your fault. And what's more annoying is that these people are either so lazy that they can't be bothered to right their wrongs, or they won't admit that they're wrong. They'll just admit like, oh, something's wrong with my cat. This is like a quick fix to help them.
Are you cat fat phobic?
I am cat fat phobic. I don't think the cats should be fat. I don't, think of them any different, but I'm judging their parents.
If you bring it on a plane, do you have to buy 2 plane tickets?
I don't know if a cat can get that fat. I hope not. But I don't know why you would give your cat a GLP-1 implant when you can just feed them less and make sure that they exercise. Like, go play with your cat. Go get a laser pointer and run them around. That's what I do with Birdie. She's still a little fat. I give her too many treats, but I wouldn't put her on GLP-1s. It's just crazy. Like, people have a very hard time understanding thermodynamics and basic math. That's really what it is. It's calories in, calories out. How did the pet get fat? Do the opposite of what you did. If you're feeding it this much, feed it this much. They're
I'm
just
racking
dumb.
my brain trying to come up what PETA's response to this is going to be.
Maybe, yeah, I could see PETA being very much against this, but I can also see, animal advocates saying, well, for obese pets, this is a way to get them healthier so that they live longer.
It's
a double-edged sword. It really is. Anyway, one last story for you before tactical detail. But the Pantone Color Institute picks a color of the year every year. Last year was mocha mousse, like a brown color, light brown. 2024 was peach fuzz. 2023 was Viva Magenta. 2022 was Very Peri, a periwinkle. 2021 was a gray color. They're not all exciting. Now, this year's color of the year for 2026 is Cloud Dancer. This is the first white shade to be the color of the year. And this is what the Washington Post's post on Instagram says about it. Pantone's 2026 color of the year is historic and technically not a color at all. Meet Cloud Dancer, the first ever white shade to receive the designation from the World's Color Authority. Cloud Dancer signifies a blank canvas, opening up new avenues and ways of thinking, said Latrice Eisman, the executive director of Pantone Color Institute. White in decor is the ultimate neutral, but in a year filled with news about rising white nationalism, proclaiming a white the color of 2026 might raise some eyebrows. If you're a libtard, they forgot that point. Anyway, they go on. Skin tones did not factor into this at all, said Lori Pressman, vice president of Pantone Color Institute. For us, it's really about, at such a basic level, what are people looking for that color can hope to answer? Cloud Dancer, otherwise known as Pantone 114201, that's like the hex code or whatever, is a whisper of calm in a noisy world. Now, I was reading through some of the comments on the Washington Post's post about this, and here's what people said. That tracks. Is Stephen Miller responsible for this? Perfectly matches how bleak things are right now. This feels like a recession indicator. It's a surrender flag. Please help us. Pantone KKK 2026. Backed by Sydney Sweeney. In this economy, we don't get a color. Tone deaf much. I mean, leave it to liberals to get triggered by a color of the year or a lack thereof. Doesn't matter whatsoever. They turn it into like this race baiting, whatever. You don't like the color? Don't use it. On that note, Scott Bryson, former Secret Service agent, he's host of the Beyond the Service podcast, and he's a Silver Lock contributor, joins me for Tactical Detail. Hey, Scott, thanks for joining me on a Friday evening.
Hey, I think I'm going to have to start doing this segment on Friday nights. All your segments were great. You guys are having a good time.
The wheels come off towards the end of the week, you know? At the end of the show, I get some crazy stories, and then, you know, Friday I like to have some fun. So what was your favorite? Was it the cat Ozempic, or was it the liberals triggered by the color white?
I think the cat Ozempic thing was pretty good. I had a couple of nasty thoughts going through my mind when you showed a thing of Miss Harris, but I'll keep those in my vault.
You know what? Harris is in the past. Let's look to the future, and let's look to keeping everyone who watches this show safe. So we've covered a few videos on this show about suspects showing up to doors, and we did cover this around Halloween, where there was an instance where masked suspects showed up to someone's home and attempted to break in. And here is the update. Watch this.
Investigators discovered that the three masked individuals were related to the victim. An adult female suspect later confessed that her and her two sons and her nephew, early in their teens, were responsible for approaching the home. In total, there were 3 adults and 4 children involved. What we now know was a prank. I want to specify the victim had no knowledge of this event. Because the family has chosen not to press charges, the suspects will not be publicly identified. While this incident may not result in a criminal prosecution, for me, my team, and for this community, it represents a moral failure.
Listen, this gets me angry, knowing that law enforcement resources were wasted on a prank. This was like a domestic situation. The people knew the people that they were pranking.
Yeah, well, first of all, that's what they're saying, so we don't have much of a choice but to take them at the face value. But he said something to me that sort of was a little bit of a red flag. They're not going to press charges. Well, how can you press charges on a prank? That was, I don't know if that was a slip of the tongue or whatever. I'm not blaming him for sure, but I don't know. It's easy to say just kidding after the fact. I'm not so sure it was a prank, but it is what it is. But that's a good way to get yourself hurt.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like even if they were members of my family, well, they looked young. Maybe it was stupid teenagers or something, and maybe the people just didn't want to press charges. But I think they ended up doing damage to the home when they tried to break in. So I think there was a criminal aspect to it. But I don't know, if my family members did that to me, depending on how close we were, maybe I would press charges. I don't know. Teach them a lesson.
Yeah, I think that if it was, I don't know, we weren't there, but like if it was truly a prank, at some point, you're going to the point of no return. Wouldn't you pull your mask off and go, "Hey, it's just me,
Right.
just joking"? I don't know. I sort of smell a rat, but that ship has sailed. So
Yeah, I think there's more to the story. Maybe I was reading, and I no one take my word for this because I'm not 100% entirely sure, but I was reading some of the comments. Who knows if these comments are true or not, but someone said that the woman that they were targeting had just lost her husband. So maybe if this was a family type situation, maybe they were looking for something in the house. Maybe it was monetary. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. Don't know if that's true. But anyway, it'd be your own people sometimes. But speaking of teens playing pranks, these teens in Florida, they were showing up to people's doors. People used to ding dong ditch. Don't do it in Florida. These teens were kicking down doors or attempting to kick down doors in the wrong state. Watch this.
911, where is your emergency? Sweetbriar Branch Lane. Someone just tried to kick in our front door.
And did you see any weapons?
No, but my husband was going to open the door with our gun, but he did not.
He still has his weapon out, though, correct?
His weapon is, in his hand, in case they come back.
Subjects, they got their hands up. Keep them up. The two behind this electrical box right here. Where?
Show me your hand. Show me your hand.
We don't have anything.
Keep on them. Put your hands behind your back. 43 since at the same time. We got 3 secure.
Here are the cops.
How old are you?
Catching these guys.
How old are you?
Get up. Get up.
They're about to learn today.
Put them in the back of your car.
Kids are in the back of the cop car now.
All right, who wants to catch felony today? No? No takers? What the hell are you guys doing out here acting like this?
Just being stupid.
You guys want to get shot by a homeowner when you kick in their front door and they think you're breaking in to kill them?
No, sir.
Because it'll be justified. They don't even go to prison and you're 6 feet under.
Yep.
Hey, the cops were teaching them a lesson. I'm glad that they handcuffed them. I'm glad that the cops put them in the back of the cop car, make them feel that this is real, because it is real. And they're very lucky that, in a state like Florida where they have, it's the name of the law is escaping me right now. But if someone breaks in, you are allowed to shoot them.
Yeah. Well, it's called, I think you're thinking of the Castle Doctrine. So, or at least that's what it's called here in North Carolina. It might be a federal statute. I need to double check on that. But, the bottom line is if you think that, if you truly believe that your life is at jeopardy, or a third party, could be a spouse, it could be an innocent person on the street.
Stand your ground law. Stand your ground law. That's what it's called in Florida. Yeah. Sorry, I just remembered it.
It's all good. But I mean, there's a Castle Doctrine as well. You could look that up if anybody's interested. But at the bottom line is, if you're at your home, minding a wise and a reasonable and prudent person is not going to, first of all, ding dong ditch is ringing the doorbell or knocking on the door, not kicking it with your foot. So the guy inside minding his own business, trying to watch TV or have dinner, he doesn't know what these dudes are doing. He doesn't know how old they are. I mean, they're very, very lucky. The phrase FAFO is a real thing. And if you're 13 years old and you're old enough to kick a door, that means you're old enough to pull a trigger. And that bullet doesn't know how old you are. That gun doesn't know how old you are. Neither does the victim. So he's going to return fire. And they got very lucky, in my opinion.
Very, very lucky. And this next one, there's a theme for tonight, a Ring doorbell theme here. I need to get one of these. But anyway, this is a very interesting one that I'm interested to hear your take on. But this guy, he comes up to the Ring doorbell, and he must have been stalking this family to know that the parents weren't home and that the kids were home. But here is a guy attempting, I don't know what, but to get the kids to talk to him through the Ring doorbell. Watch this.
Come on, hey, come open the door. Come open the door.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Your mom and dad are out here hurt. They're laying on the ground right here, I promise you. I was walking through the neighborhood, I promise you, I'm not harming anybody. They are hurt. Hey, sir.
This is scary. He knew that kids were at home and he was using their parents as a ploy to get them at least to talk to them through the Ring doorbell. Hopefully the kids knew not to open the door. But if they're saying that, you know, your parents are hurt, they're lying on the ground, most kids would probably respond to that.
Yeah. Out of all the videos that we've kind of done over the last few months, wherever, this one is one of the ones that is disturbing to me the most. I mean, this is as old school as it gets. You know, it's like you have parents, you've got to get your children coached up. Even 4 and 5 year olds, if they're, you know, old enough to comprehend what you're saying to them, you're going to dumb it down for them. But, you know, mommy and daddy are not going to send a stranger to get you ever. So this is why we browbeat this into the youth, as like DARE officers do it at elementary schools. They teach DARE, you know, that's about drugs and alcohol and stuff like that when the kids are a little bit older, but they also talk about safety and strangers and all that stuff, you know, stranger danger and all those things. It's like you can't start too early, and it really starts at home. And I hope that the audience watching this, if you've got young kids, that I'm sure that your audience is, you know, is doing the right thing, but we've got to educate our children. I don't really care how old they are. They have got to know that mommy and daddy would never send if you don't know the person, then it's a lie. It's 100% a lie. And you've got to get that through their little heads because they're so innocent.
People in the chat are saying to have code words. A lot of families have a code word. You know, if we send someone to pick you up, they're going to say this word and always ask for the code word. And if it's a family friend or, you know, a coworker or something, there's an emergency, but they will know this is the code word in most cases. And something, you know, I was reading through the comments on that video, and something that is interesting and also something that probably young kids wouldn't think of, or maybe even adults wouldn't think of in the moment when their adrenaline's running high or anything like that. But if their parents were lying on the ground in the front yard dead, like worst case scenario, why would an adult not call 911 first? Why would an adult go find kids in an emergency situation like that? No adult is running to get kids unless the kids are in danger. Let's say that is the situation, right? Parents are dead in the front yard. You want to make sure that the kids are away from that or they don't see anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're truly trying to help, you hit the nail on the head. You're going to call 911 right away, and you're going to be screaming loud, and you're going to be trying to alert the neighbors. A grown man is not going to go get a 10-year-old to help him. Just like we talked about, we've done this a few months, maybe a month or so ago. A young woman, like say an 18 or 19-year-old young lady who's walking out of a box store to get her, it's not her job to help you change your, like, I would never ask a young lady to help me change a tire. First of all, it's extremely emasculating. And number two, that's a damn lie. So stop. You know, It's like, if the shoe doesn't fit, you know, you've
Start
got,
thinking.
no, it's easier for us to say about that, like to adults, right? Like a 19-year-old's brain is a little different than a 5-year-old brain, but that's why the mom and the dad have to you just really have to educate them. You know, when I was a school resource officer, I would talk to the children about, you know, and I had pictures and stuff like, what if a person pulls up in a car and wants you to come play with, you know, come see my puppy or here's some candy? The answer is no, it's never okay. Ever, it's never okay.
And I feel like nowadays people aren't really door knocking as much anymore. Like companies or you know, they're targeting people online for better or for worse, but I feel like people aren't really, I mean, maybe politicians campaigning might go door to door, maybe something like that. But I feel like nowadays, if anyone comes to the door, don't answer the door. You know, you just never know what people are going to do. They might try to get into the house, and who knows what's going to happen after that. Anyway, one last video, Ring doorbell camera footage to get through tonight. This woman goes out to let the dog out, sees something else on her front porch. Watch this. So woman opens the door, dog runs out.
Push.
She turns the light on the porch. There is a man sitting on the porch. She just doesn't see it.
Push.
Man is right behind her. She doesn't see it.
This is what we call condition white.
She
Not
sees
good.
the guy,
Oh, she saw him.
runs back in the door and calls for her husband.
Yeah. Oh,
And the
time
guy
to
on the
go.
porch runs off. And now the dog goes after the guy.
Well, my dog would go out and, you know, try to lick the dude. So, you know, it depends on what kind of dog you have. You know, not everybody's got a Belgian Malinois or something, I understand. So, like, for me, the dog's not a good option. But I mean, God love her. I don't know what time of night it was, but she was, you know, she was going out and let the dog do its thing. And she did turn the light on, which was good, but she was just so in her little, her condition white there. He was sitting right there. If he would have wanted to do something bad to her, he could have done it.
Oh, yeah. She gave him ample time. And I'm not trying to blame her. I mean, you don't expect someone to be sitting on your porch in the dark. But, you know, she turns on the light. She's looking after her dog who's, you know, peeing in the front yard or whatever. And, yeah, it's just very lucky that she got into the house fast enough before something happened. But, yeah, to your point, always to stay in condition yellow and make sure that you know what's going on. But Scott Bryson, thank you so much for joining me for Tactical Detail. Have a great weekend.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Always absolutely love it. And you can follow Scott Bryson. He's Scott Bryson BTS, Beyond the Service, on X and on Instagram. He's always sharing great safety tips. So love that segment, and definitely follow him and support him. All right. Do you guys have blind reactions? No? Okay, so we'll just do scrolling time. Let's get into scrolling time. All right. There's a trend on TikTok where people are talking about things that help them reach a flow state, whether that's shopping or scrolling on TikTok for me. But the White House said that they reach a flow state when they're deporting criminal illegals, putting America first, and triggering liberals. So here's what they posted on TikTok. And they posted in the background a bunch of comments of triggered liberals. And here's what some of the triggered liberals are saying. Oh, hell no, I'm in enemy territory. The White House is ghetto as hell. The freaking White House having TikTok is illegal. It's in the Constitution. That's not true. Oh, absolutely not. This is so dystopian. Wow, the White House is really trash. Can we please have adults back in the White House? I, for one, love that the White House posts deportation videos on social media. They hop on all the TikTok trends. I think they're doing a great job. And I think it's funny. Triggered. They're just triggered. All right. This video, this pissed me off because this woman was walking her dog, lost total control of her dog and her own limbs for that matter. This was posted on the Daily Mail yesterday, and it's just crazy. So a woman loses control of her dog and starts going after this other couple walking with their dog. And I don't know what kind of dog this is. Maybe some kind of a mutt. But the woman, maybe this isn't, the woman's falling down. It's like she's on ice skates or something. The woman whose dog is attacking this other dog is laying on the ground for most of this video. This pisses me off. If you can't control your own limbs, you can't be walking a dog of that size. And if your dog is violent or you know that your dog is going to go after other dogs, you have to know your dog. You also need to know how to control your dog. Lots of dog owners, they say, my dog's not good with other dogs, so therefore I don't take him or her to the dog park. Or my dog's not good with other dogs, so when I'm walking him and I see a dog coming, we cross the street. Normal stuff like that, just to think about, common courtesy. This woman, absolute moron. Maybe she's drunk. Someone in the chat said she's stoned. Maybe she is. Because she's flailing around. I mean, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then at one point in the video, the woman who has the little dog she's getting the other dog off of her, and she's taking care of everyone. Just annoying. Someone in the chat said, people are so stupid now. Yeah, people are so stupid now. All right, this next video, we've been seeing a lot of robots, self-driving cars, things like this, right? This is along those lines. This man sees a robot delivery driver. I don't know what these robots do, if they're delivering food or something else, but I've been seeing these, not in real life. I've actually never seen one on real life, but I've been seeing them online. I think a lot of college campuses use them to deliver food and things like that. But this man sees a robot delivery driver. I'm using driver in quotes because I don't know who's driving it, but it's a robot, and it got stuck in the snow. He tries to help it and then turns on him. Watch this.
What we think, chat?
Here's a robot.
What we think? Think he gonna make it?
Crossing the street.
You think he gonna make it?
Oh.
Oh,
Gets stuck in the snow.
Should I help him? Wait up for the help him. Wait, hold on. Wait up for the help him. Hold on. Hold on, I got you, bro. I got you, bro. I got you, bro. I got you, bro. Go. Go, 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 go. Go. I'm trying to help you, bro. Go. I'm trying to help you. It's the funniest shit ever, bro. Come on, bro. What the fuck? Go, Thomas. Go, motherfucker. Go. Go, Thomas. Go. Go. I'm pushing you. Go. There you go.
Thomas.
Still, fuck you, clanker. Bitch.
First he starts, the name Thomas is on it, and he says, Thomas, he's trying to help Thomas. Then all of a sudden, Thomas isn't really taking to the help, and now all of a sudden it's, F you, clanker. He just turns on him real quick, but...
Thomas forgot his snow chains.
Yeah, he doesn't have his snowshoes on, his snow chains. That's a good one. But yeah, I mean, you got to think about these things. And I think the robot companies, certainly there's a human on the other side controlling it or listening to it or something. You don't think so?
I don't think so. Maybe on a SOS basis, but no, I'm pretty sure they're decently autonomous.
On their own?
It's just GPS and object avoidance.
I've seen
obviously
videos.
Not snowy rut avoidance.
Right,
but
right. I saw a video of one of these robot delivery drivers, and there's an ambulance coming. If you're a human, most humans know to get out of the way of the ambulance. There's an ambulance driving. I have to find this video and play it on the show on Monday. The ambulance is trying to go across traffic. This little robot crosses in front of it. The ambulance is waiting on the robot, and the robot starts to panic and is going back and forth in front of the ambulance. Anyway, they're not going to come and take over the world just yet, but they're working on it. Anyway, this next one is a self-driving car. These are what we call these Waymo cars, and someone is in the back seat of the Waymo car. They get to a police chase where, again, if you are a human, I'm going to take a detour. I'm not going to go straight into the whatever is going on here, but this Waymo car goes just straight, gives a front row seat. Watch.
Oh my God. This morning, new questions about the safety of driverless cars after a Waymo turned into the middle of a tense police standoff in downtown Los Angeles. Watch this fully autonomous robo-taxi with a passenger inside turning left, driving just feet away from this line of police cars as a man lays on the ground. Waymo telling ABC News that one of their vehicles did encounter a street blocked by police and simply saying, quote, "When we encounter unusual events like this one, we learn from them." LAPD confirming a high-risk felony stop was underway and that officers had not yet blocked traffic when the Waymo went through the intersection. LAPD says the Waymo did not impact their tactics.
Well, that's good.
Except about running over the officer laying on the ground right there by the cop car.
Or the person that they were trying to arrest was laying on the ground, and what if the Waymo just ran him over?
What if shots fired and the Waymo just drives its passenger right into the line of fire.
You are in the back of the Waymo, completely defenseless.
Getting lit up.
You're like, wait, don't go there, don't go there. Then the humans who are in the Waymo are probably like, you know, listening. And, you know, I think there's like a button in the back that's like emergency button. I'd be like, emergency button, please help.
What do you think the lawsuit would be if you get ran over by a Waymo? I mean, I'm not talking like run over. I mean, you know, like just like a John Wick, like run you over and you roll over the hood, make it good and theatrical, try to cash out.
Yeah, people probably try to do that. But I was cracking up at the comments on this video because people were saying it's Waymo dangerous to drive in a Waymo car. People were just cracking me up. But anyway, thank you for scrolling along with me on this Friday evening. Thank you to everyone in the chat.